Filtered. And today we have with us author Reshay. We're going to be talking about her writing journey, her books, and just her whole experience in this book community and what that's been like. Um, I'm going to introduce her and I'm going to post this after, right? So you guys can just push that button that way and go to wherever you want in the interview. But we're just going to get started right now. You ready?
Ready?
Okay, make sure my sound is right. Okay. So we have with us today author Kay Reshay. She lives in Alabama by way of Mississippi. She is the president of the Me Time Book Club. She's a self-published author, and her goal is to promote literacy. And she's traveled and she does movie scripts and she's just doing it all. And so she's gonna be sharing some jewels about her journey. So y'all get y'all pencils ready and take some notes. And other than that, y'all, I'd like to introduce you to Kay Reshay.
Hello, hello everyone there. Thank you so much for having me. I'm very
Yes.
honored.
Yay. I'm gonna jump right in with I always ask for the first question that I always ask. So of course I have to ask you because you write Black love stories. And so I just wanted to know, when did you fall in love with writing Black love stories?
Well, now I've always been an avid reader, and I got that from my mom. When I was growing up, you remember those big thick books with the romance books with the guy and the lady on the cover. Around, probably 8 or 9, I read a little bit, and I should not have, because I had no idea how spicy they were. But I never saw us on the cover. She had all of these books, and I think they were like maybe $2. But you never saw us on the cover. And so that was one of the reasons when I really got serious about writing. It's like I want to write about us, and I want to see us on our faces on the cover. And so I think that's what the spark was.
What is your writing background? Did you enjoy English in school, writing clubs? Like what led you to just that to be able to have that skill?
Um, I think it started back in grade school. I was in one of those creative classes where we did the plays, and it was called Viva. So it was like a creative type of class, and you started it in 5th grade, and it went through, I think, 8th grade. And
Mm-hmm.
so during that time frame, we focused on creative writing. Went to like art museums, all kind of stuff. And I just was always kind of like an artsy kid.
Mm-hmm.
Started writing short stories and poems when I was around the same age, 8 or 9. And even when I went to college, I took creative writing. I took drama classes as electives. Just always enjoyed it. And so it just was something. I think it's just one of those things that's a gift. Just was a gift.
So you would say, or I would say, you are a skilled writer.
Thank you.
A skilled writer. So I generally like to let you define the type of writer that you are. Um, I think I wrote in my notes, I have a suspense thriller with a twist on love, but I'm going to let you define the type of books you write or the genre that you place yourself in.
Wow. That's really hard because there are so many type of categories, and you don't want to just get stuck in one. I would say maybe just fiction. Just fiction. Anytime I'm inspired to write, I'll write it. And so I don't put a cap on myself. Now I probably couldn't write a sci-fi novel.
I don't know,
That
you
might be
might.
that might be a little bit too much for me, but I noticed that I really enjoy like thriller, suspense type of books. But I also can go back. I have something in the works of a little more softer side. So it really just kind of depends on the spark. Once that idea hits you, whether it's like just seeing something or hearing a phrase, it can turn into a novel. So I keep myself as open as possible.
Okay, so suspense thriller, kind of, we know what that means. But when
Mm-hmm.
it comes to black romance, that looks different. It's subjective for the person um, who writes it because it could be soft all the way through. Romance is just a happy ending. Well, the happy ending may look different for everybody. The
Right.
happy ending might be the person leaving. I mean, it's whatever. How do you define your version of black romance?
I would say I'm not the type of writer that is I'm not the type of writer that writes happy endings all the time because it's life, and I want to be realistic when I write, and I don't want to always give that, perfect ending because life doesn't have perfect endings all the time. So for
Mhm.
me, black romance is real, real romance, real life things that we all experience or have experienced, or we know someone who has experienced it. And so I try to make um, my version of black romance similar to experiences I've had. It's fiction, but also, you do want to kind of tie in. It's hard to not tie in real life experiences when you write. It just kind of comes with it. And so I pull from that, and I just think it's black romance for me is real.
Real, the way that probably thinking I'm thinking in my head like the way I want it to be. It's something that you feel is tangible that you can get.
Correct.
Yeah,
Yes.
I can
Hmm.
see that. Your publishing experience, when you first started writing, was your was your intent to be an indie author, or you just, like, I'm gonna write this book and I'm gonna get it published? Like, what does that journey, the publishing journey for you look like?
Initially, of course, I wanted to be published. I submitted all of my letters and, went through the whole process. Got a contract, but to me, it wasn't a very smart one. It was going to tie me to a company for a number of years, tie me to a certain type of writing style, and I just didn't want to do that. And I think that experience pushed me to just want to do it on my own. Um, Being someone who was in the literary community as a book club president and an avid reader, I reached out to a lot of different people in the industry and just was asking them about their journey. And I found that self-publishing was just always so very freeing. And because you're not tied down to certain levels of writing, you can kind of just be expressive and work on several different whatever project you want to work on. But it also means that you have to buckle down and wear a lot of hats because
Yeah.
you have a lot of roles. It's like a one person one stop shop. So it's very demanding, but it's to me, I wouldn't change it.
Can you share some of the pros with someone who may be considering writing a book and they're considering doing self-publishing, indie publishing? Just a little bit about that process, and a little bit of advice that you would give them on that journey.
I would definitely tell them to reach out to people. That's how I got started. I found that it's a lot of people in the literary community, especially self-published authors, that don't mind sharing their journey. So definitely, I would say reach out. Think about discipline, because you definitely will have to have that. You have to stick to a writing schedule. You have to find an editor. You have to do professional photos. um, if you don't know how to do your own website, you're going to need a website. You're going to need some kind of social media. So you have to have a little bit of business acumen about yourself, or you can always reach out and have someone, kind of manage it all. But also be smart with your finances. This is an expensive business. This is big book business.
Like
Can be
expensive business. You're
it's
like heavy
expensive,
on the expensive.
heavy on the expensive. It is one of those things that you really will have to budget for. But to me, um, despite it all, it's worth it. It's worth being able to explore that creative process and see the final product. And then you get opportunities like this, you get exposure.
Exposure. I
Yeah.
want to talk about editing because the book that I read, Committed, it was just done well. It flowed well. It was written well. The editing was well. What was that process like? Because I think a lot of people fear that when they want to start writing. It's like, oh my goodness, I may make this mistake or this mistake. What does the editing process look like? I mean, we know it's expensive, but
Yeah.
for someone who's maybe on a budget, it's their first time, maybe a college student, what can you share what that looks like?
You definitely have to have a relationship with your editor. And it has to be the right editor. Everybody doesn't doesn't edit certain books well because it's not something that they prefer. So I would say make sure that you have a great relationship with your editor, and just write. It's really hard to try to fix, so you have to push yourself to just write and not go back and try to fix every little thing. My process is I call my editor and I say, "Hey, I'm thinking about this book. This is kind of what I'm looking at." And when I first met her, I told her, I was like, "Now my books are a little bit much, so if that's not something that you like to read, this might, But she's like, "No, what girl, whatever I got you." And so it's sitting down with her. Getting a timeline together, telling her, what I want the book to convey. That's very important. Your editor has to understand what you're trying to get out there in order for them to know how to guide you in the right direction. And so, write it, try not to stop yourself, write it, and then take a deep breath when you submit it to your editor. Because then you will learn about the magic world of track changes and all of that. So, just pace yourself, have a great relationship with your editor, and be open to change, be open to what they're saying. They're not going to try to change what you do. They're only there to make it better. So just be open when you receive that response.
Okay, so vetting out the vetting part is really important.
Very, very, very.
Yeah. The
In
vetting
some,
part and being open. Those two I pulled from
yeah.
that because I hear people's like, I had a bad breakup with my editor and I
Hmm.
never really know what that meant when I listen to panels and I go to book events and they talk
Hmm.
about their editors. They're always like, well, especially with traditional, they're like, they're at stalemate. Like
Yeah.
we've been stuck for a month because the editor wants this and I want that. And I
Hmm.
know with indie, the indie has more freedom to move forward. But my question is at what point do you trust that editor and be like, okay, what they're saying may work for me?
Um, I think it's all about communication. My editor is very much on top of responding, and also the timeline. I think a lot of times we set these goals, and
Mm.
if your editor is like lagging, that's very frustrating because you're trying to get
Oh
something.
yeah.
Um, you're waiting on this, you're waiting on that. So I think, like, really, if you have that communication open, um express, be as honest as you can, express what you're looking for, what you want up
Mhm.
front, so that you're not in on the back end trying to hold them to something that you didn't discuss initially.
Okay, well, I was introduced to your book Committed through the Brave program. It was free books and you were able to download them. And
Yeah.
I downloaded Committed because it was free. Yeah, I like the cover. And I'm going to start listening to these books. And I just hit that button. And it was a joy ride, let me tell you. I want to let you tell the audience about Committed.
uh, committed, committed came out of nowhere, honestly. I can't even remember like where I got the idea from. When I start writing, I write with the end and begin with the end in mind. That's my process. uh,
Okay.
as I know what the book is I know the ending before, and my writing process is to build up to that ending.
Mm.
um so committed one thing that I like to do is I like to take the readers on an emotional roller coaster. You know, if you don't feel anything when you read my book, then I'm not doing something right. I want you to feel the emotions that these characters are going through. So Committed, I would say, is a drama-filled suspense novel that deals with infidelity, that deals with eroticism. Is it's very erotic.
I said I had I want to talk to you about sexual exploration because was there a seed? I normally ask what is seed. What was the seed for this story? What did you want the readers to take away from this book?
So honestly, I looked up the definition of committed and I read
Okay.
it over and over again. And I wanted to apply that to relationships, marriage. Um, and of course, I always wanted to depict certain characters certain ways, but this time around, I wanted the reader to not necessarily have a favorite character, but I wanted the reader to feel each character's journey. Some characters had growth. I think at the beginning of the novel, a lot of people didn't like the
Right.
James,
Right.
didn't
Right.
like
Not
James
at all. Not at
at
all.
all. And eventually, I wanted them to see like he was coming around, but it was too late for him to come around. So
Mm-hmm.
Committed, it was just one of those books that I just kind of had that ending in mind. Um, and I was when I was looking for covers, I was like, what kind of cover do I want for this? And so of course we have Anthony as he's the cover. He's the one on the cover.
Listen, you're talking about a book. If y'all are looking for a book that is going to give you a ride, it is. First of all, let me just go. These are basically, I always go look at reviews and I tell you some of the things that people say.
Okay.
Overall, everyone says it's a page turner. It's worth every minute and it's an absolute must read. Listen here. It will have you yelling, screaming, crying. You're going to be rooting. It takes you through every emotion I think possible. Um, how was it living with these characters?
Oh wow. They stayed in my head a long time. I will tell you that one of my favorite characters to write was Ansley. I just love writing about Ansley. Um, I went through that period of time where I had to kind of step back because I was, there is there's abuse there. Um, had to take a moment before I went on into the next part of the book,
Uh-huh.
and they stayed with me. It was very very hard writing the ending. Because it kind of it made me feel like I was watching a movie at the end. You just kind of see it,
Well, the
and
whole book, sis, was like a movie. The entire book, it was like so when I read, like I do immersive, so I listen at the same time that
hmm
I'm looking at it. I'm like looking like I could see the people on the words. Oh my goodness, like I really had to immerse myself because you dealt with some social commentary,
hmm
things that make it very realistic. Uh Obviously infidelity, um termination of birth,
hmm
um like you said, abuse, and then things that went around outside in society. How did you do your research to come up with all of these scenarios?
So I'm definitely a spa girl. I love going to the spa.
Uh-huh.
So I was really, I kind of pushed my imagination on different types of spas. Also, just overall, um, day to day, just taking a look at how we are in the office. How are we when we're not really social and we don't really have like those girlfriends to hang out with, and
Mhm.
how do you deal with your spouse constantly having stuff going on, and how do you deal with that personally to not make the spouse feel like they're neglecting you when you
Mm-hmm.
kind of don't have anything going on for yourself. So it was a lot of just kind of looking at life, and how when you're even in a relationship with someone, how you can slowly be there but not be there.
Mm-hmm.
And then once you get ready for things to change, it just doesn't magically happen. Sometimes it opens up that to bring someone else in.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, you. So y'all, we don't get spoilers. I'm just gonna say that.
No spoilers.
So I just wanted to make sure that we could move forward. Um um let's talk about some of the challenges that you faced writing this book. Were there any? Or dealing with the characters and how you felt that the characters may be perceived.
One of the things I wanted for my main character Maxine was for the reader to see um that she seemed like she had it all together, but once she experienced that one bad habit, it kind of just changed her personality and
Mm-hmm.
her way of thinking, and she was going through all these different emotions. So the process for her was trying to make the reader switch their opinion on
Okay.
her, and then switch their opinion on her husband James. So initially, we're rooting for Maxine. We're mad at James,
And then it
and,
switches.
and it switches, and you're like, wait a minute, I was hating him. Wait a minute, what are you doing, Maxine? You know what I'm saying? And
Yes. Um.
dealing with determination, that took a lot of research. They say if you look at an author's search history,
uh,
they may be a serial killer or something, because that's
exactly.
the stuff that we have to Google.
That was stuff you have to look at.
Yeah, I was all on YouTube watching videos,
Uh,
testimonials, and things about the experience, just so that I was accurate in the writing. And I wanted my reader to just be really puzzled by this mysterious neighbor across the street. Like, where did he come from? What's his deal? And also, of course, the man of the hour, seduced.
you dealt with forgiveness. At least, even if you didn't deal directly with forgiveness, it as a reader, you were forced to how to process like forgiveness, what forgiveness looks like, and
Mhm.
when you do fall into two relationships, like
Right.
how do you forgive when you really are into the other person? Like, what was that challenge like?
Well, it was challenging because
Okay, I can hear you
it,
now. That's okay.
it
We
was
hear you now.
it was challenging because the book was called Committed, and so I was dealing with, like, okay, that's the title, but is everybody in this world that I made up?
Right.
And so the
Uh-huh.
challenge was, yeah, going back and forth with of course I started with the end in mind, but just going back and forth with myself on the ending. You know what I'm saying? It was like one of those things where um I wanted to show growth in their relationship, but it was one-sided growth. It was one-sided growth that was too late. But I also wanted to show that, we as a community, we do go to counseling. We do try to, that's not a myth. We go to counseling too. And it's a good thing to do that. But also I just want to I I wanted it was hard to just stick to the title, because I know a lot of people was like, well, they were supposed to be committed. There was, you know what I'm
Well,
saying?
commitment, and that's why I says commitment. It could be subjective because the heart is
Yeah.
an amazing thing. The heart
Yeah.
can love five people, four people, three people, one person. And
Hmm.
you can even go to therapy, but therapy is not going to change what your heart is determined to do. You have to address it on. Yeah, we
Yes.
can do marriage counseling, but if I love the other person,
Now, look, leaving marriage counseling and going somewhere else.
right, you're leaving there exactly. Um, I want to talk a little bit about you also do movie scripts.
Hmm.
What is that journey like? Like doing like, can you share the transitions? Like if because in my mind, seeing committed as a movie, that would be like so amazing. So, what has been the journey on movie scripts for someone who's interested in the differences from just writing a novel?
I would say you have to pull back on all of the, you have to really switch your mind and pull back on all of the details,
Hmm.
because really a script is just very basic. You have, this person, what they said, and you can add little, like I like to add like music, um walk stage left, you have to think like that. So
Hmm.
it's it's writing, but it's also it's writing without detail. And I think that's a big challenge, because you want to add all this stuff. You want to talk about how beautiful the living room is and how nice the house is, but you have to kind of just think of it as um a blank stage, and people,
Okay.
yeah.
Never thought about it like that. That's interesting. Um, you spent some time in West Africa.
Hmm.
Um, and it kind of gave you a different lens, I think you would say, on your writing journey, your writing experience, and self discovery. Can you share that with us?
You broke up. What was
I
that?
said, excuse me, I said you spent some time in West Africa,
Hmm.
and can you share with us how that has, did that affect your lens on writing and storytelling, and what that experience was like for you?
Oh wow. It I'm still working on that memoir because the experience was so powerful.
Mhm.
Um, I actually saw it was actually an Instagram post, believe it or not. MTV host Domity Pongo is who I went with.
Okay.
And it just changed my whole outlook on everything. Being able to experience that very emotional trip. Um, we went to Cape Coast. We visited the slave dungeons. Um, we went to Kamasi. We saw the Ashanti Kingdom. It was just a world that you felt like never, you know it exists, but it's like you never see yourself going there. Um, and I took a journal with me and I wrote down everything day by day, my different experiences, different foods. We got a chance to meet the inventor of the fiber optic cable, and I cannot think of his name. He
Uh-huh.
died. He recently passed,
Hmm.
um, and that was on day one. So just meeting someone of that caliber, our first day there, and it was just an emotional roller coaster. As a writer, it really did change the way that
Hmm.
I wanted to depict us in books. Um, I wanted to write a memoir. I'm still working on it. It's the hardest thing to do, because when you're writing fiction, fiction is, it's not real. But to actually write personal things, um, it's hard to do. It's really hard to do. I want to get that story out. I want to get my memoir out where I go into detail about what we experienced every day. Um, but yeah, that it will go down as the best trip I've ever taken.
Wow. Because
Hmm.
I went to this I went to the LA Time Book Fest,
Hmm.
and I did an author panel, and there was an author there, and in one of his books it's about camping. It has like a whole camping love twist to it. And he said, so he packed up his car, threw everything in there, and he was determined to go have this experience so that
Hmm.
he could, make sure he got it right. And
Hmm.
I always wonder when I interview you guys, like, how much do you like sit in a park? Do you watch couples? Do you watch the way they interact? Like, what is that like? So when you were in Africa, what notes did you take? Like, okay, I'm gonna make sure that I now include this in my work.
So what I did was I actually have that book here. It's
Okay.
just a little It's just a little journal.
Okay.
Something I picked up at Dollar Tree.
Okay. Okay.
And every day I set it up as day one, day two. And this is another one. It's just filled with different um poems that inspired me. Um I would say the most powerful moment was when we went to the Slave River, where we all, we had to take our shoes off and walk that trail
Wow.
and get to the river where they crossed.
Uh-huh.
And I mean, a lot of us just cried, because we knew what was waiting on the other end of that river. Um, and I wrote that down in detail about how I felt, how, scary it must have been. And you really get the sense that you were there. It's hard to describe, but you really do. When
Yeah, you
people
can feel the
say,
energy.
yeah, you feel the energy.
Yeah.
When people say it feels like you're coming home,
Hmm.
that is so true. All of us experienced it in different ways, and I also wrote down how other people were, responding, how what they thought about it,
Hmm.
um, the different foods, and I never felt unwelcomed.
That's
Um,
beautiful.
yeah.
That is really, really beautiful. Let me ask you in regards to your books, because like I said, I have only read Committed.
Mhm.
Can you share with us some of the other books in your catalog that so that we'll know more of what you've done?
Yeah, so my first book series, which wasn't supposed to be a book series,
Uh,
is called Appearances. Appearances is about two frenemies. Frenemies is
mhm.
what I would say. It started off as just one book, and I just couldn't finish it. And it turned into another book, and it turned into another book. So my first debut as an author was the Appearances book series. So it's Appearances, then it's Appearances 2, TOO, and Appearances 2, but that's the third book.
Okay.
Where it actually reveals, everything is revealed. And then I also wrote All Things Work Out Well. That is a book about friendship. So I wrote about frenemies, and then I wrote about women who absolutely loved each other and their journey, and how they triumphed through all of their life experiences. And during that time, I did research because it was out of a laundromat, and so I literally was in a laundromat for like 3 hours
Wow.
there, writing. I interviewed the manager. So a lot of the things that is in that book is like literally from this place, like maybe 20 minutes from my house. Just you're sitting
Wow.
there observing, listening to stories, looking at the customers.
Hmm.
Um, and then I took a step back and I started writing plays. Um,
Wow.
and
Okay.
then my sons started, they would go to book events with me. They
Uh-huh.
eventually started to become authors, so I started doing children's books. And
Okay.
then after that, here comes Committed. And so,
Do you have the book by any chance Committed near you where you can show it
oh yeah,
people? I want you guys to be able to see this Committed, y'all.
it's Committed.
I
Yeah.
highly recommend that book.
Yes.
I highly because it's literally like a movie. It can't get. I don't know how much more entertaining. Like it was so entertaining, and it was the twists and the turns. That's why I called it a suspense thriller and a twisted love story. Because I felt like you got twisted all up in it. It was just insane. Um,
Thank
out
you.
hold on, let me see. Where am I gonna say? In Committed, because I'm jumping. I know I'm jumping around, and I'm trying to get everything in there. When you wrote Committed, you are the president of the book club. What the
Yeah.
book club have to say about that?
Oh, oh, I got some looks. I definitely got some looks. Actually, we do summer meeting break, so we don't meet during the summer. And the lady who was hosting for our September meeting, I dropped Committed that summer, and I was, doing my soft promo, and then she showed me a flyer, and I'm like, oh my God, y'all are gonna read my book, and the meeting was very much like side eyeing me, like, what have you got going on, girl? But overall, my book club members definitely enjoyed it. They don't, it's different when you are someone who is actually reading and reviewing books, and then when you come to a meeting and you're the point of focus as the author, it is different. But yeah, they really did give me a lot of side eyes and a lot of I know. But yeah, they did. They said they enjoyed it.
They enjoyed it. Okay.
Mhm.
So that's a good thing because I'm like, you show up in book club and getting a side eye like
Right.
sis with the neighbor.
Yes. Right. With the neighbor.
um Again, Committed came out, and you also do the Behind the Ink, which is a been going on for many years now.
Hmm.
And it's in Alabama, and you
Hmm.
have it's a book event, a book expo.
Hmm.
It generally sells out. I know it's sold out now.
Yes.
Can you talk about this book expo that you put together and why you did it,
Hmm.
and just some of the steps you took to make sure that you make it available to all authors, not just like maybe big name authors. Like you give space for everyone. Can you share that?
So, I was finding myself leaving the state all of the time, going to these huge book festivals. And we have book festivals here, but they're on a smaller scale. And normally, our Birmingham is not the one of the cities during a book tour of a major author. Um, and so I was like, I know what I would like to experience as a reader, but I also know what I would like to experience as an author. And so, I presented it to my book club in 2019.
Okay.
And I was like, you know what, I think we can do this. Like I know I can do it.
Uh-huh.
I just need help. But yeah, Behind the Ink started in 2029. I mean 2019. Don't get it. 2019. Just thinking, hey, our city needs something for us that we can experience.
Yeah.
And we want to bring in major authors. We don't want to have to always leave to go see a major author. And so I always wanted it to be free for readers to attend. I also wanted to make it a safe space for all authors. So, um, children's authors, romance, uh, sci fi, whatever it is that you write, we want you to be there behind the ink so that you can. It's a lot of readers in Birmingham, Alabama, and surrounding areas. It's a
Right.
lot of book clubs in this area.
Uh-huh.
And then we have book clubs that come from like Memphis. We have book clubs that come from, of course, Tennessee, different places. And it's just one of those things that pushed us to become a nonprofit organization. And, that
Yes.
was a whole nother ball game. But, hey, if I'm going to throw this event, I got to have sponsors, right? So it was kind of like I didn't want to do it, but I had no choice. We had
Uh-huh.
to.
Uh-huh.
I had a lot of people that wanted to support it, and they're like, "Hey, I want to support, but we got to be able to, tell people why we're giving this out. We can't just hang you stuff. So,
Right.
yeah, and I reached out to a lot of authors in that I've met along the way in all of these years, saying, "Hey, we're doing this book festival. I'd love for you to come and participate." So I had a small window of opportunity with being in the industry already and
Uh-huh.
knowing people, and it just took off from there. So we're at our fifth year. Um,
Yay!
fifth year.
Congratulations.
Thank you.
Congratulations.
It's
Because we
it's
do,
fun.
I jumped into it in 2023 and did
Mhm.
Love and Books. And it was amazing. But we'll talk after about some of the challenges because
Oh
being
yeah.
here on the West Coast, we're not a travel to state. So
Yeah.
when you can't drive it, yeah. So, but I'm always happy whenever I hear about these events because they so many people give you particularly as well as many others give so many authors the opportunities to be able to shine, and some of them it's their first event. So thank you for doing it, and I know the hard work that goes into it.
Oh yeah. Oh yeah.
I know the into it. So again, thank you, and thanks, and give you your flowers for that because you're
Thank you.
appreciated.
And likewise,
Um,
likewise.
I want to talk about promotion.
Mm-hmm.
Promotion for your book, promotion for your book club, and promotion for your event.
Mm-hmm.
Um, I didn't see a lot of promotion for Behind the Ink,
Mm-hmm.
but it sold out. So apparently people knew about it. But then there's so many people who don't know.
Mm-hmm.
How are you promoting that to make sure it's seen? That's one. The
Mm-hmm.
next is how are you promoting your books? Because Committed was a very well written book. It was very entertaining. It was all around a book that really should be on everyone's bookshelf.
Mm-hmm.
And the it's like quietly, not knowing what are the challenges that you're facing when it comes to promoting your books.
So one of the biggest challenges is that, you have to have the finances to get on the road and just promote. And when I dropped Committed, it was during the time that we were just coming off of Behind the Ink.
Mhm.
And then we were planning Behind the Ink again. So I didn't get on the road like I usually do. Um, and also the marketing aspect of, trying to do like the social media promo.
Right,
um,
right.
I dropped a promo video. It didn't do numbers like I wanted it to. So that's the biggest challenge is, wanting to get the word out, but then it's not doing what it's supposed to do. I know when I first got started, I had a huge book launch party. Um, I did a book signing. I invited everybody there. Sold a lot of books, and I think after you do that, it's kind of like, do I want to do that again? Do I, And so that was the biggest challenge. It's just the marketing.
Mhm.
Sometimes the numbers just don't do what they should do, and it's the same thing with the book event. One thing we did was in January, we took a step back and we really thought about, okay, how are we going to market this? And one of the things that I know to be true about the city of Birmingham is that if they know about a book, if they know about anything that you're doing that's positive, the city will come out. So we started a different approach with, I guess, boots on the ground. We started going to big events and giving out flyers.
Right.
Um, they have a
Old
lot of,
school.
yeah, just handing out old school flyers. It's a lot of businesses here that will allow you to put flyers out there.
Mhm.
That's just easy marketing. And also going to social media. I'm not someone who is always in front of the camera. And so it's hard to kind of get out of that shy role. But we do go on our local news station every year to promote the event. Um,
Okay.
and we also, we do a lot of fillers. We give out, we send out reviews after the event is over. Really listen and read what people are saying. And it is all about marketing as far as social media. So just trying to get people to share the post, like the post,
Yeah.
post as much as you can. Try to
Yeah.
get a hashtag, so if somebody hears about it and they just type it in, something is
Well, it
gonna
worked.
good.
It works.
Good.
I just looked. I'm like, sold out, sold out, sold out.
Yeah, yeah,
So I mean, it's doing what it's doing what it should be doing. It's
good.
doing what it should be doing. I just want to say thank you for doing what you're doing.
Thank
I'm gonna try to keep pushing that book, but keep pushing. I'm gonna call myself a book pusher because if it's a book that I think people will benefit off of reading and open up your eyes to different situations, and
you.
that definitely was a situation where it was just like, it opened up your eyes to something that was very realistic, and
Thank
that is what makes it so appreciative. And again, it's always funny to me when I see some books that are just like poof, and then there's some books that are just not. And I'm always inquiring to when I do the interviews, like I don't know if there's an algorithm, if I don't know if there's a formula, but we gonna figure it out.
Yeah, and I think I shout out to the VIP, the influencers, the literary influencers. The people who actually have a huge following that read and review books like you. Like we really appreciate that because it you give us the opportunity to be seen, and it's hard to be seen. It really
Yeah.
is, especially when you're self-published. You
Yeah.
never, it's kind of like overnight somebody sees a book, and then on TikTok, there's everybody is talking about it. If
Yeah.
Oprah says she read a book, then if everybody's reading it, so we appreciate
Yeah.
it. It
And
it's
sometimes it's just seeing it. Literally, it's just like
mhm,
I scroll. I don't even. I may be too busy. I don't even like it. I'll screenshot a cover and keep going, and then I'll
mhm,
go back later through my phone and download it. And I think it's just a matter of just getting it out there. And
mhm.
that's what I feel like my calling is.
Yes.
It's just to share what love looks like, and it's not always in relationships, and sometimes
Mhm.
it's chaotic, and sometimes it's beautiful, and but it's there's reading is has become a fad, a beautiful fad right
Oh
now.
yeah.
And so thank you for your time, your talent, putting in the work.
Thank you.
I'm like listening, like you're doing screenwriting, you traveling, you're doing a huge book event every year. I mean, it's nonprofit. You got a lot going on, and you still are managing to give us this work. So, thank you, thank you
Thank
for it.
you.
You have so you sold out. So if somebody show up, they can't get in.
Well, we sold out for authors and vendors. Now readers are that's
Okay.
still open. Yeah.
Okay, so that's what. So let's clarify that then, because when it says sold out, I
Mm-hmm.
was just assuming that you mean you weren't taking any more readers.
Right. So we're sold out of author and vendor tables.
Okay.
So, but the reading, we still have certain things available. Like we still are promoting doing the swag sponsorship for authors or business owners who couldn't make the event or support. We like to try to always keep that door open. So maybe you couldn't participate, but if you want us to give out, some of your books, you want to send like some swag, like bookmarks. T-shirts, bags to give to the readers, we would definitely like to market for you. But yeah, it's a free event, free to attend.
Can you give the date and the location information?
Yeah, so Behind the Ink is happening in September the 13th, 2025, at the Harbert Center in downtown Birmingham, Alabama. It's a nice upscale 3-story venue. We're going to it's free to attend. It's from 11 to 3 o'clock. It's family friendly, so you can bring the kids. We'll be giving away toys and books for the kids. We'll do face painting. It's called our Children's Corner.
Mhm.
We also are featuring New York Times bestseller Kennedy Ryan. She will be in the building.
Okay. Okay. Is
She'll
it
be in the building. We'll also have
yay?
our own poet laureate, Solomon Green, who will be there to open up our event with a beautiful poem dedicated to the importance of literacy in our community. And then we'll also have informative panels. So we'll have some local literary author, nonprofit organizations there to share
Mhm.
about all of the things that they offer our community. And we'll also have some self-published authors up there and business owners up there to just give some of their knowledge about the industry, and open themselves up to questions so that they can answer anything and help someone else on the journey.
Wow. And this is free. So I don't know if there's a flyer. If you can DM me the flyer, also I can post it on my TikTok. I'll post it just so people could know that I don't think because again I thought it was sold out, so that's why I said that. So I'm glad that was clarified that it's free. It's not sold out for readers, and readers still have a space. So
Mhm.
if you're in Alabama, you don't have to fly all the way to LA or wherever to go see Kennedy Ryan, because she's going to be right there in your city,
That's
and you'll
right.
have the opportunity to get your book signed as well as meet other people. So
You
yay! Thank you so much for giving me this opportunity to talk with you. Do you have any other questions from me or anything or just something you may want to say to your readers as we close out?
Well, I definitely want to personally thank you so much for this opportunity. I know I shared with you earlier about how it just meant the world to me. It just had my whole day lit up when I saw you review the book. It was just beautiful, and things like that make all of this worth doing. It's one of those jobs that you never fully get paid for. You never fully for the time, you never fully get repaid, but to me the repayment is just someone taking the time to read my
Oh,
book and
thank
actually
you.
enjoy. So thank you for even for what you do now. It's so important to authors, especially authors that are self-published, trying to just make it in the industry. We're putting in a lot of time and dedication, and just thank you for giving us that platform. To my readers, thank you. I really appreciate, the encouragement to continue this writing journey. It's not always easy. You can't always find the time. So you make me just, sit down and get my stuff together to keep on putting out books, because you tell me I know what I'm doing a little bit. So
Uh,
and also shout out to all of the people who are registered to come to Behind the Ink. We are finalizing a lot of things now. Everything is coming together. We are planning a great event for you, free giveaways. If you like mimosas, we'll have some free mimosas for you guys. So, just shout out to everyone for the support, and thank you for having me.
Thank you, thank you, thank you. This was amazing. Amazing, amazing, amazing. And anything I can do again to help you promote your events, a book, whatever, reach out. You have my support. I can't wait to meet you in person. Hopefully I could give you a hug and just say thank you
Yes.
for all that you do, because I was planning on just talking to you about a book. And as I delve deeper into all of these amazing things that you're doing, I just had to divert because I think it's important that people know this is what you're doing. And so thank you, thank you, thank you. I appreciate you. And bye everybody. This is going to be posted. Bye.
Bye.